And we continue at 1:06 in the afternoon. Talk Radio 790 KABC, the John Phillips Show. Mr. Randy Wang's across the glass in Culver City.
John, as we mentioned, California Insurance Commissioner Ricardo Lara actually went to the Assembly instead of Bermuda and did his job by answering questions from members of the Assembly about his nonsensical insurance plans. He also answered questions from the media.
Can you guarantee the reforms will make an impact for everyday consumers in California?
Absolutely.
He's very fond of that word.
Absolutely.
800-222-5222 is the telephone number, 1-800-222-5222. It is our pleasure to welcome our next guest to the program. She is the chairwoman of the Los Angeles County Republican Party. You can follow her on X at Roxanne Hoge. Roxanne Hoge, welcome.
Hi, guys, and thanks for having me.
Well, Roxanne, I want to go over some numbers with you since I believe this is the first time you've appeared on this program since being elected chairman of the County Republican Party, because these are some interesting numbers. These numbers come to us courtesy of the County Registrar Recorder, Dean Logan. Here is what we found. The first update since October 21st includes all of Los Angeles County, all of the cities and unincorporated portions of the county. Republicans have continued their pre-existing trend of substantial broad gains. Here's what we found. Republicans added 30,532 new voters to the rolls. The Democrats added 560. You guys beat them by 25,000 new registered voters. Less than 1% of the new voters are Democrats, and they lost voters in 51 out of 88 municipalities in L.A. County. Republicans gained in every supervisor, congressional, Senate, Assembly district, and 87 out of 88 municipalities, missing only Sierra Madre, and that was barely. Glendale saw the biggest Republican gain since October 21st. They were followed by Irwindale, La Puente, and Beverly Hills. And if you're asking if this has to be a direct result of the mismanagement of the fires, here's some interesting nuggets of information. It's hard to tell if the fires are what's causing this to happen. Altadena, of course, is unincorporated, and Pacific Palisades is part of the massive city of Los Angeles. But those two assembly districts were the only ones to lose voters as people are taking temporary residences in other parts of the county, other parts of the state, other parts of the country. So it looks like the mismanagement of the fires may have been playing a role in these changes in registration. Your thoughts?
Thank you for bringing up those numbers, because that reminds me I need to send a gift basket to the California Democrat Party. I keep forgetting. It's on my list of things to do. Fires are part of it, and yes, it's awful to lose voters from those two areas. But even before that, the mismanagement and incompetence of pure leftist ideology writ large was having people wake up and smell the coffee and realize that everyone should take a step to the right anyway.
When you register new voters in L.A. County, what are you primarily seeing? Are you seeing people who are Democrats who are fed up with what happened with the response to the fires or what happened during the COVID lockdowns? Or are they new people? Are they young people who are voting for the first time, or people who hadn't been participating in the process who now want to participate? Who's registering to vote that's new?
Well, I cannot tell a lie. I mean, I could, but I'm not going to tell a lie. This is an organic thing that's happening. I'm just chairman for the past month, and we're going to be taking advantage of this. But this is purely people looking around, seeing bad governance, and saying, hell no, baby girl. And so what's going on is a combination of two things. It's people unregistering as Democrat because they realize that the party has moved so far leftist to be off a cliff, and they don't want to be associated with it anymore. It's NPPs realizing, hey, if I'm not registered with either party, no one can find me. And it's people who weren't registered to vote before realizing that oh my Lord, actually my vote does matter. Look, Donald Trump moved everyone in California, every single county, 10 of them overall voted for him, but every county moved to the right a significant amount. The main gains we made, though, were with Prop 36 and Nathan Hoffman here in L.A. It turns out people don't like being mugged or followed home and then mugged. So we are very grateful to the Democrats for their complete incompetence, and we're going to take advantage of that by getting out and registering more Republicans.
The city of Los Angeles, as we learned yesterday, is now $1 billion in the hole. We know that the mayor has seen her approval rating go down into the basement since the fires started. And she is in a very politically shaky place right now. She says she's running for re-election, but the numbers don't look good for her. One block of people who have stood by her all through the fires, all through the homelessness, thick and thin, are the DSA, the Democrat Socialists of America, on the city council. Now that the city is $1 billion in the hole, she's going to have to find a way to balance that budget because she's required to. So that means she's got to cut somewhere or she's got to raise taxes. If she tries to cut these social programs, if she tries to cut the ambassadors or these groups that do gang prevention that we now know are actually funding the gangs, at least in one case, if she tries to cut the phony baloney homeless groups, the DSA block is going to go nuts and they're going to abandon her. I don't think she can do that. The other place that she could cut is public safety. She could cut police, she could cut fire, but I don't know if that'll work out for her either, because how do you cut fire and then go to Pacific Palisades and ask for votes? How do you cut police in a city that just voted for Proposition 36? I don't think she can do that, which leaves her with one place to go, and that is to put a tax increase on the ballot to the tune of $1 billion to try to make sure that the city is whole, that the city is solvent. Are you guys at the county Republican Party prepared to fight her tooth and nail if she does that?
Well, of course, but let's not forget that the left, they talk a good game, but they march lockstep no matter what dreck gets put up for them to consider. So they'll accept a few cuts here and there. They'll willingly accept a tax hike. We, of course, will fight tooth and nail any tax hike and any further cuts to public safety. But the left, which is sadly the majority of the city of Los Angeles, they just keep seeming to say, thank you, sir, may I have another, no matter what she dishes out.
I just don't know how you survive politically in this environment if you cut the fire department again or you cut the police department again. I don't think she can do that. They may throw her out of office before her term expires if she goes in that direction. I mean, we're already practically uninsurable as a city, as a county, as a state, as it is. And you cut that fire department further and there's no one to respond to the fires. I don't see how any of us buy a policy.
Well, it doesn't make sense to you and I because we're sane and we don't like being mugged and we know it. But she's being outflanked on the left by, dancing city controllers and DSA members who keep squeezing her. And then I'm just not sure that there's any price to be paid. Sure, there may be one paid by her specifically, but they'll just switch out the widget so that it's another person who does the same thing.
According to everything I've read, she expects the federal government to kick in and to write a big check to the city of Los Angeles to help them with their budget problems. I would imagine, since she was a Democratic member of Congress and endorsed Kamala Harris over former president or current President Trump, former president, then reelected to be President Trump, that it's going to be a tough putt for her to get any money out of the feds. Has she come to you or has she come to anyone locally within the Republican Party asking for help to get money from the feds?
Oh, God, no. I mean, what we've noticed in this past few months is that the people who rise to the top of the Democrat Party are not particularly smart in California, right? You don't have the skills. They all have glass jaws. When they go national, they are incapable of making the pitch or the argument to a national audience because no one has ever said no to them, much like toddlers. So she certainly doesn't appear that smart, and I would doubt that she's made any moves in that direction.
And I can't imagine him giving anything to her. Can you?
Well, he might for the right deal. I mean, the man loves to make a deal, right? So maybe there is something there. And don't forget, Donald Trump has a vested interest in the Olympics in 28 not looking like a total bleep show here in Los Angeles. She's destroyed. The left has made this into a third world cesspool, and I can say that because I left the third world to come to America. But he doesn't want America to look bad. So there may be a little play there.
Do you see any scenario right now where she survives this and wins re-election?
Gosh, I hope not. I mean, I couldn't believe that people voted for Rick Caruso, voted for her over Rick Caruso. But then again, I couldn't believe that the left booted Jackie Lacey for George Gascon. So never underestimate the ability of the shock troops of the left to get what they want.
What do you think Caruso's going to do? Do you think he's going to run for mayor of L.A., or do you think he's going to run for governor of California, or do you think he's just going to take a pass altogether?
I think what he has done in Los Angeles, and I was listening to you and Alex yesterday, and it's so true. L.A. is where his heart is. And I hope he realizes that the political advice he's getting from the likes of people who gave us Gavin Newsom and Kamala Harris may not be the best. And if he just returns to being the center-right person that he always was, he has a real shot of doing something transformational to Los Angeles. The entire state, the governance of California just doesn't seem to be in his heart. And because of the execrable top two, it becomes a matter of game theory. And there's just no way he can make it work.
We're speaking with Roxanne Hoge, the brand new chairwoman of the L.A. County Republican Party. You can follow her on X at Roxanne Hoge. Roxanne, Gavin Newsom has a podcast that's out, and it has not been well received, particularly by those on the left. There was a poll that was done, and Democrats and liberal voters are not responding well to the governor, to the podcast. What do you think he's trying to do with this podcast? Do you think he's trying to reposition himself as a moderate conservative, and he thinks that the Democrats are going to be looking for a Bill Clinton kind of candidate in 2028, and he's going to try to paint himself as someone who can fill that void and win the White House back for the Democrats?
I mean, the man is thirsty, right? I've never seen someone so desperate. 2 years ago, he was on the Biden Death Watch tour, just hanging around like Eddie Haskell, just waiting for the slip and fall that would inevitably come. I really wish that he and Meghan Markle would just pair up, crawl on their hands and knees to Bob Iger at Disney and ask for some sort of Mutual of Omaha Wild Kingdom show that they can do together, because that's really all he's suited for.
Katie Porter has also announced that she is running for governor of California. She put out a video where she talked primarily about federal issues. She didn't really talk about anything that impacts California at the state level. She's not likable. Certainly, there are many Democrats, elected Democrats, who she has fought with in the past, including Nancy Pelosi, who by all accounts hates her guts. But she does have high name ID because she just did spend millions and millions of dollars in an unsuccessful run for the U.S. Senate. So if you look at the polling data, she usually polls within the top 2 or 3. Do you think that she has a chance at becoming the next governor?
Not if she opens her mouth. Look, she has a name that sounds great, but once you hear Paul, it's over.
And so far, there's one Republican candidate who is declared for governor, or one at least that I'm paying attention to, and that is Riverside County Sheriff Chad Bianco. There are rumors that Steve Hilton, who you and I both know, who hosted a weekend show on Fox, is interested in throwing his hat into the ring for governor. Rick Grinnell, friend of the show, former ambassador to Germany, has also hinted that he could potentially be interested in running for governor. What do you see happening there? Do you think that that's the field? Do you think it's going to get bigger? Do you think it's going to get smaller? How do you read this race?
I read this like I read almost all races that are happening in 2026. We don't have primaries. We have an early general and a late general. The early general is May to June of 26. Anyone who claims to be running now or thinking about running now, it's all theoretical. And so we'll see the field in the fall. I just have one appeal to anyone considering a run for governor. It is game theory. And as long as anyone can do what Gavin Newsom did, which is look at the wide field of candidates, choose the weakest Republican and elevate them just by throwing some ads up on Fox News, I need everyone to understand that we need to play the math game. And no more than 2 of you should be on the ballot. And everyone who's done it before or thinking about doing it to make some sort of point so they could get 1% of the vote, please come talk to me. I really need to have a conversation with you.
Roxanne Hoge, the new chairwoman of the L.A. County Republican Party. You can follow her on X at Roxanne Hoge. Congratulations on your election victory, and thank you so much for stopping by.
Thank you, guys.
If you'd like to email the show, you can do so at johnnydon'tlikeshow@gmail.com. That's johnnydon'tlikeshow@gmail.com. And now that we've hit the halfway point of today's show, Randy, if you want to continue listening to us after we sign off at 3, that's easy to do.
Maybe you want to get reaffiliated with all of the insanity that's been going on in Oakland for the last couple of years. Well, search for The John Phillips Show on the Apple Podcast app.
I said, hell no, baby boy. Let me get up on out of here.
Search for The John Phillips Show on iHeart.
It's wild, wild west out here.
Search for The John Phillips Show on Spotify.
Oh, my God. They melted the basketball court.
In fact, search for The John Phillips Show anywhere you get podcasts.
It's a lot of crime now.
And speaking of Oakland, Randy, coming up in April, we're going to be on live in the Bay Area.
How exciting is this? Starting Tuesday, April 1st, The John Phillips Show is expanding live to the San Francisco Bay Area. We will continue to be doing noon to 3 live every day on 790 KABC in Los Angeles, Orange County, Riverside, and San Bernardino. But now we will be expanding live to 810 KSFO. Every single day, giving the local California stories live to San Francisco, San Jose, Oakland, the rest of the Bay Area. That signal goes all the way out to Sacramento as well. We'll be taking live phone calls from Southern California and Northern California every day. And I can only imagine it's a matter of time before we get up to the Bay Area and do a live event.
Oh, that'll be fun.
Yes, we might. Maybe we'll have a live bipping in Oakland.
We'll have some sourdough and garlic fries. How about that?
That would be great.
Also, a programming note, later on tonight, the 8 p.m. hour, I'm going to be on Fox News with Trace Gallagher. So if you're up and watching television around then, definitely check that out. And right now, it's time to open up the California Crime Blotter.
If the cashier is dummy.
Questions?
And Randy, the first edition involves a familiar target.
A Target in West Hills had some criminals break in and try to blow up an ATM machine.
Have you noticed the similarities between so many of these Crime Blotter entries and Looney Tunes of late?
I have. For more, here's K-Cal.
Thieves set off an explosion and ransacked a Target store.
Oh, boy. Police are now looking for suspects. The Target store that was hit is at a shopping center between Victory Boulevard and Sherman Way. K-Cal News reporter Tina Patel is live in West Hills with what happened. And this now.
Is this the one on Fallbrook? That's next to the movie theater that I go to sometimes. I guess I'm not going there anymore.
They should rename that street from Victory to Defeat.
And this now search for the suspects, Tina.
Yeah, unfortunately, no one has been caught yet. Investigators believe there were...
Well, it's a Los Angeles crime story. Are you surprised?
It's crazy how often that happens. Orange County, they're arrested. Sacramento, they're arrested. San Diego, they're arrested. Riverside, San Bernardino, Ventura, arrested. L.A. County, suspect still at large.
Yeah, unfortunately, no one has been caught yet. Investigators believe there were two men who broke into this Target late last night. They're just beyond where the crews are here. You can see that there is actually crews that have kind of taped off where the...
Is that a truck backing up or a car alarm going off?
Maybe it's both.
Taped off where the area was because they left behind a lot of damage. Let me show you some video from overnight.
I'm going to guess that's the fire alarm.
Boy, we're getting all kinds of alarms in this rap.
You could hear that the store alarms were still going off when officers responded. This was around 11:30 last night. By that time, the suspects had already taken off. Now, there was a lot of damage to the front store. It appears that the thieves broke through the glass doors, and then according to police, they used some sort of gas or explosive device to break into an ATM in the store.
So they broke into a Target, ran to the ATM that was inside the Target, and used a bomb to blow it up.
They relied on Wile E. Coyote for strategy.
At this point, if your establishment has an ATM, it is only a liability.
Apparently, at the Target locations in the state of Oregon, they have a recycling facility at the beginning of the stores, which means it becomes a hangout spot for the homeless.
Not a great idea.
We saw detectives taking out a lot of evidence, something that looked like a car battery. Right now, they tell us they don't know exactly how much money the thieves may have been able to get from the ATM or if they took any other merchandise from the store.
So they hooked up a car battery to what, a propane tank, and then blew up the face of the ATM and stole the cash?
And the Roadrunner got away.
Thankfully, that Target had closed about an hour earlier, so there's no one inside, no one injured in the explosion. But we were talking to one of the restoration specialists earlier this morning. He told us he got called to a very similar robbery in the Topanga area a couple months ago.
Different target?
Different bomb?
So we are checking with police to see if this explosive device being used to get into an ATM might be kind of a new pattern with thieves. As we come back here...
Well, they figured this is easier to blow up the ATM and steal the cash than to steal the ATM, try to break into it with a crowbar, steal the cash, and then go dump it off the side of the 118 freeway.
Oh, yeah, that ATM graveyard.
As we come back here, investigators have left, but they do say there is security video here. They're looking at that. They're trying to see if they can get a description of the suspects or their vehicle. They're asking anyone who might have information to come forward.
What is going on? I guess it's the dump trucks in this parking lot picking up all the debris from the explosion, but that is a loud parking lot.
I'm surprised we haven't heard kaboom.
They're asking anyone who might have information to come forward. In the meantime, employees still doing cleanup here. We don't know if they're going to be able to reopen on time or not, but we'll keep an eye on that as well. We'll send it back to you.
I wonder if when they lit the explosive device, they said, "Here you go, Target."
We'll see you at Christmas time. All right, Randy, it's time to reopen the blotter.
If the cashier is dummy.
Questions?
And we're all in for a treat with this one because this edition is an Ed Laskos contribution.
How crazy is that?
Ed Laskos was in my old neck of the woods, the Santa Clarita Valley, because College of the Canyons, also known as College of the Crayons, has a peeper.
A peeper?
Someone had a camera in the women's restroom.
Okay, don't these people know at this point you don't need to hide a camera in the women's restroom if you want to go in there and see what's going on in there? All you have to do is say that you identify as a woman.
Enough already.
For more, here's Fox 11.
A man is caught secretly filming women in the restroom at College of the Canyons out in Santa Clarita.
What's being done to catch the peeper? It's a story you'll see only on Fox 11. We go live to Santa Clarita where Fox 11's Ed Laskos has the update. Ed?
It's one of the problems with community college. Anybody in the community can go, including the peeper.
Yeah, you would hope that the SATs would weed the peepers out.
Christine, a frightening situation here, very scary situation for not one, but two female students here at the college, different times. Same thing happens to them, and one of the students turned victims, calling this guy, she called him a creep, a pervert.
If Ed can get creep into a piece, you know he will.
I really like the way the word pervert sounds.
She called him a creep, a pervert.
And he hit that P pretty hard, didn't he?
Call him a creep, a pervert.
Okay, we're going to have to save that. We haven't had a new Ed Lasco's drop in a while.
She called him a creep, a pervert. Imagine, as they explained it to me, they're in the ladies' room, in the stall, and all of a sudden they look down and they see a man's hand coming up from under the stall next to them.
This is like a horror movie.
Okay, if you're the guy, you do realize that you can do this exactly once, and then you're going to get caught.
It's not a whole lot of forward thinking here.
No.
He's holding his cell phone. He's recording everything they're doing. To the video we go. Check it. This is video.
You know, there are websites that probably offer that content of people who are willing to do what they're doing in the bathroom on camera.
Yeah, but you see, Randy, some people like to churn their own butter.
In more ways than one.
To the video we go. Check it. This is video from one of those students. She realizes what's happening, so she quickly gets her own cell phone and starts recording this guy. Starts yelling.
You're going to film me. I'm going to film you.
And so what? Both of you end up with videos of random people going to the bathroom?
Starts yelling at him, come back here, what are you doing? And then he makes a run for it. He pushes her aside and runs away, escapes out of that ladies' room. This is video from the incident that she told me happened last October. Now we're finding out a second victim, another classmate here. And this one was just about two and a half weeks ago. Same thing happens to her. Same situation.
So it's a serial peeper at COC.
How did he get away with this more than once?
Same situation, same MO. So these students really say they feel compromised. They feel targeted. They're really shaken up by this. Listen.
It's really hard for them to study for a school they're probably going to drop out in 2 months. I should know. I dropped out of COC. You know what? My brother Kevin dropped out of COC. In fact, half the population of Santa Clarita dropped out of COC.
Mostly embarrassing, too, because, mind you, you go into the restroom thinking that you have your private personal space, and then to look down and see a phone was honestly terrifying because I didn't even know who it was. And in that moment, I still thought it was a girl. So that's why I waited.
Yeah, a girl ain't going to do that.
That's an interesting theory. Someone's peeping on you in the bathroom and you think it's a girl.
Well, maybe she was under the impression that no man would ever violate the barrier of a women's room.
Maybe she thought that the girl was a photography major.
And now live, they're pushing forward with it. They've contacted the sheriff's department. There's an investigation underway. For its part, the college is out with a statement to us saying that they take the safety of all of their students very seriously, and they say that their public safety officers are on alert on the campus, aware of what's happening, keeping a watch for other further instances.
Start checking the stalls, boys.
Lots of perverts out there.
Keeping a watch for other further instances, but both of these women are saying that they really wish there was some more signs or warnings through the college itself, letting other ladies know if you're going to go into the ladies' room, be very careful because this has been happening evidently over the last couple of months. For now, we are live here in Santa Clarita. Back to the west side we go.
And I got to think, in this day and age, there are cameras everywhere where you can possibly piece somebody's movements, maybe to a car or.
Christine wants to get this guy.
Yeah, and what kind of signs are they supposed to put up? Beware of perverts?
Building they ran around, or which way they took off, or which way they entered. They're talking about the cameras and visuals on this guy.
Yeah, and well, unfortunately, though, from what we've been told, that the investigators say they don't have a good look at this guy's face. You may have seen it in the video. They're dressed in black. He had black covering over his face. So he
was wearing a Ferrer mask, was he?
Oh, yes. He's very COVID conscious.
So they some of the investigators have told the ladies when they went in to file complaints that, you know, your video is pretty good, but there's no indication of what exactly this guy looks like. So that's the problem. They are checking, to your point, Christine, some of the other security cameras on campus to see if they can get a better ID, a better visual on this guy.
All right. Ed Lascos, thank you.
There you go. A serial peeper is still running around College of the Crayons.
You know, Randy, maybe I'm just old-fashioned. But when I go into a men's room, I expect a certain amount of privacy. And I don't want there to be a hidden camera inside the tampon machine while I'm using that bathroom.
Well, she called him a creep, a pervert.
If you'd like to email the show, you can do so at johnnydon'tlikeshow@gmail.com. That's johnnydon'tlikeshow@gmail.com. And Randy, you're monitoring the mailbag.
Will writes in at johnnydon'tlikeshow@gmail.com on the Fallbrook felons. Good use of alliteration, Will. After Mother Goose and her merry band of criminals ripped off taxpayers to promote gangs, does anyone really see Karen Bass allowing the LAPD to target the target criminals?
Zero chance.
We have seen whose side Karen Bass and people like Ulysses Hernandez are on.
Because we are the defund the police people, right?
And Randy, we have time for one more addition to the crime blotter.
If the cashier is dummy.
Questions?
And this one involves bums lighting more fires under the freeway.
Specifically under the 405, and the part of the 405 I take to drive to this radio station every day. So that's fun. For more on even more homeless fires under the 405, here's KCAL.
A chronic and extremely dangerous problem on the west side, fires being set under a freeway overpass. It's happening at a homeless encampment under the 405 on Sawtelle and Pico. A recent KCAL News investigation found a troubling connection between the county's homeless population and the growing number of fires.
I think we know what the connection is. Homeless people start fires.
Even Stevie Wonder can see this.
KCAL's Nick Zechovich is talking to residents who are fed up, asking the city, why isn't more being done to put an end to this dangerous situation?
This person was making a large bonfire, almost reaching the highway.
Residents living near the 405 overpass on Sawtelle and Pico are on high alert.
It just seems kind of like a risky situation, like something could catch fire.
You mean from the fire?
Yeah, that generally is what happens when you light a fire.
They say that for the last few years, those living in the encampment here have been burning fires to stay warm and to cook their meals.
I live right up here.
And to cook their meth. Let's not pretend that this is some survival thing.
Oh, yeah. They definitely go for the dessert before the entree.
And even if this was totally just, these people are cold, they need to stay warm, this is a very fire-prone area. We just had the most devastating fires that we've ever seen in Southern California. Anybody starting an unregulated fire in Los Angeles has got to go.
Go to jail.
Have been burning fires to stay warm and to cook their meals.
I live right up here, and I can smell the burning smoke from my window sometimes.
Across the street, next to what looked to be the charred remains of a dishwasher door.
Totally normal thing to see.
We're a fourth world country in Los Angeles. Even the third world countries are embarrassed.
I met Emmanuel El Halou. For him, it's more than just the inconvenience of smoke.
It's open flames, nothing contained. It's near trash, and so it kind of seems like very combustible. And
We're 3 years away from the Olympics. When are they going to clean this up?
Yeah, open flames. It's not like they're aspiring Burger King cooks.
It's concerning.
Like this barbecue, chock full of burning logs, left completely unattended. Extension cords tapping into the city's electricity underneath the sidewalk to bring power to their tents, adding to the potential fire hazards.
How do we not do anything about that? And that's happening all over the place. That's a crime.
Who's paying for that? We are.
I witnessed they were putting a upholstery chair onto a fire to make the chair burn.
All of this.
They're burning upholstery now.
She sounds like he's doing the most with his hands.
I witnessed they were putting a upholstery chair onto a fire to
doing the most with his hands.
Similar.
Make the chair burn.
All of this happening in a no man's land when it comes to responsibility. The overpass is the borderline between City Council District 5 on the east side and 11 on the west. The land under.
So what? It's a turf war between Katie Yaroslavsky and Tracy Park, and no one wants to claim responsibility?
Well, if we got a turf war going on and we're paying off the gangs, then have the gangs work out the turf war. Isn't that what they do?
The land underneath the freeway, overseen by Caltrans.
Literally, we cannot walk because they occupy the entire with us.
There's nothing more infuriating when you have a massive, dangerous homeless encampment and everyone says, well, it's not my jurisdiction. Just get rid of it.
Well, that's what happened in Holly Mitchell's district when they were dumping that rancid meat.
And that's despite the fact that this is a special enforcement zone, meaning that obstructing the public right-of-way by sitting, sleeping, or storing personal property is technically illegal here.
Doesn't matter. If you don't enforce the law doesn't count.
You know, the feds could find a way to get involved in this and just shut it down. Because in theory, if you're going to burn down the freeways, that impacts interstate commerce, doesn't it?
That might be what we have to do. Get the ATF in here.
Do whatever you have to do to shut it down. Otherwise, they're going to burn down every last structure we have.
I mean, hell, it's still a federal crime to have meth on you. Get the DEA down here and go to every homeless encampment. That'll be a real nice video for national TV.